I think what we see in Europe at the moment is two distinct trends. We see certain countries such as Spain or Poland or Hungary where the state is definitely deciding against communication rights of citizens but also of institutions such as public broadcasters. They embrace authoritarian or semi-authoritarian recipes again. The other trend, and that we see mostly in northern and western European countries, think of the Netherlands or Ireland or Belgium, is that states really follow a corporate agenda in deciding on media and communication policies. And both trends are equally concerning and actually result in an erosion of citizenship and democracy.
Well, when rights collide, that's what we have court systems for. They are there to do the arbitration between those whose rights collide. But we need to change the balance and focus on which of the right is a right to communicate, because that should be the fundamental basis right for human beings.
If rights collide, I think we need to be very careful on the policy side of that issue. So some rights collapse for the individuals, and there must be an institution which looks after the rights of the individuals. And in the traditional thinking, it is of course the state who has a responsibility there, and the state need to be responsive to any kind of collapsing rights. So the digital world in itself does not create different rights. They still are there, and these are communication rights we all want to have, and we all have a right to exercise. So the state, I think, is important in the digital field as it has been important in the past.
Whenever you have those moments where rights are colliding, as you might describe it, I think it requires democratic processes to work this out with always a sort of reflexive approach that traditionally, even within classical liberalism, when we're talking about egalitarianism in public spheres, that certain groups are often left out. And so I think we need to think in terms of redistributing power when we have these debates and recognize that it is not a level playing field.
The rights, of course, always collide. We don't have absolute right, whether it is the right to publish versus the right to privacy or any other right in an analog age and as well as in a digital age. Who should decide? The state and the government was trying to avoid this sort of decisions for the last 25 years, as well as many liberal thinkers. But what we see is at the end that all of the key decisions are made within the legal system, and that legal system is established by the state. And the digital age is nothing new. It's been now around for more than 25 years, 30 years, and it's now predominant form and area of communication, but also creativity and all the other aspects. And so it's perfectly normal for the state to intervene, to step in with the legal apparatus, which means, of course, the right legal protection, the new laws regarding the new issues, just as the state intervened, let's say, in the beginning of 20th century when the airplanes started to fly, or when the cars suddenly developed and became quicker and quicker. We needed new regulation, we needed new signs, new laws about how the flights are going on, about the coordination of the roads and all the other aspects. And I don't see any bigger difference regarding the digital technology.
I think it is a question about the relationship between an individual, meaning citizen, towards the state, between the individual and state. And because the state as a public authority is the only one in democracy, I'm talking about the democratic state, the state must have a capacity also to solve the disputes concerning the communication rights. This means that the right to communicate is always related to democracy. I mean, and there must be a possibility and responsibility also for the state to guarantee and protect democracy, meaning that those public interventions, those communications, if you like, which are threatening democracy, should not be allowed, actually, in order just to protect democracy. So this is why I think, and the state is the only authority that have a capacity and mandate to make this kind of restrictions.
I think the answer to that question depends on the national context, certainly. I think in the technological context even, right, we're having this interesting conversation about if or to what extent, for example, platforms have the right to make those decisions about in sort of negotiating communication rights across different stakeholders. Certainly there's a role for government in that decision making, and that certainly varies by national context. We've often talked about wanting to really empower individuals to have, increase their rights over not only what they receive, but what they're able to disseminate and where. So again, it's a really, multi-stakeholder answer.